Hello, my name's Linda. I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'm making a card. I'm going to be using the Dress to Impress bundle, and I'm also using the Birds and More dies. Put these to one side. I've done a little bit of die cutting already, so these are the branches I'm using out of the Birds and More die set. If you've got anything different, anything with leaves or whatever, you can use whatever you like. I've got one of the stitched shape squares. This is the largest square, and then I've cut these out in thick whisper white and normal whisper white. This is going to be a 5x5 card, so I've cut this at 10 inches by 5 inches, and my little whisper white layer, this is 4 3/4 square. If you're working in centimetres, it's 25.5 centimetres by 12.7, and this is 12.2 centimetres square. I'm not brilliant at centimetres, so I've worked it out roughly. Hopefully that's going to work. I'm also using some watercolour paper today, using the Stampin' Up one, and I've made myself a small tag which I've just put hello on. I've cut this out of whisper white paper, just put a little foam mount on the back and some gold thread. I'm going to start with some stamping. So I'm using the watercolour paper. I've got this in my Stamparatus. I'm using an embossing buddy just to go over where we're going to stamp. I'm starting with the perfume bottle using Versamark because I'm actually going to be doing some gold embossing today. I'm just going to do this twice, and that's because I'm using watercolour paper and sometimes it's a bit harder to get your Versamark image on there. I don't have any Stampin' Up gold embossing powder left, so I'm using what I've got in my stash. This is a whale. If you get any little bits, if you get a brush, and you can just rub these off and then just keep tapping from the back. I always keep, I've got a couple of brushes that I keep that I don't use for anything other than my embossing. So when you're happy, you need to use your heat gun to heat that up. There is my embossed bottle. I'm going to use my marker pens to colour this in. I'm using Pool Party. I'm just going to wipe it onto a mount, and then you use one of these little water brushes. So I've just squeezed a little bit of water out, so I've got my brush working. I don't want it too wet, and I'm going to rub that into my Pool Party, and I just want to go round where my bottle is. I'm going to do the top as well. I'm trying to make it look like glass. This is incredibly easy to do. You don't need to have any artistic ability to do this. Okay. I'm just going to wipe my Pool Party off, and now I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo. If you don't have markers and you just have your ink pads, you can do exactly the same. Just push it onto your mount. Make sure you clean your brush before you start onto your next colour, and I'm just going to use pink for my perfume. You could just take your marker straight onto the paper and then go over with your water as well. You could do it that way around. So that's just a very simple watercolour there, and this set actually comes with a die. So I'm going to leave that to dry. It's not going to take very long, and then I'm going to cut that out. And there's my die cut bottle. I'm going to put that to one side. And we're going to do a little bit of stamping on our stitched square die. I'm using the Dress to Impress stamps. I'm using these two. I've actually stuck them both onto one mount, and I'm going to use Pool Party. I want to ink my stamps up and then stamp off onto a piece of scrap paper and then stamp on. And I'm going to do that again. Stamp off, just to turn the stamp round to a different angle and stamp on. I want my perfume bottle to go in the centre, so I just want a little bit more around the edge here. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to work on the background now. So this is our white layer. I've just got a snail and I'm just putting a tiny bit of glue there so I can turn it over and stick it to this piece of paper. So this is just a piece of scrap lined paper. I'm lining it up so the bottom is on one of the bottom lines. Now I'm going to turn it round, just come in a little bit there so you can see what I'm doing. I'm using the Stampin' blends. I'm using Flirty Flamingo, the dark and the light, so you can use whatever colour you want. I'm going to start with my dark and I'm using the brush end, and I just want to put stripes on my paper. But if I do stripes without any sort of guide, I make a mess. So we don't want them to be perfect, but I'm going to start on my lined paper, so the stripe, and then just glide along basically to that one. So you just keep doing that. As I said, doesn't need to be perfect. Then I'm going to swap to my light. And then when I get to the end, I'm just going to run my light one just along the edge of the paper. Do the same on the other end with the dark one. You don't have to use the same shades. You could use different colours. You could do rainbows. And then just take that off. And there's our background. I have my card base here, and as I said, this is 10 inches, so I'm going to score it at 5. If you were doing it in centimetres and you was doing my measurements, it would be 12.7. And I'm just going to fold and burnish. I'm going to stick this one onto the centre of our card. I'm bringing in the branches that I cut earlier. So I want these to be in the background. I'm going to pop them behind the stitched square that we did. I'm probably going to cut these so I can get some extra bits. I like to stick mine down with some fine tip glue. So I'm just going to put little dots onto my branches and my leaves and my berries. And then you just need to make sure that you're going to be tucking that underneath where your stitch square is going to be. I've actually stuck these on where I want them to be. I'm going to stick my perfume bottle onto my stitch square. I've already put some foam on the back there, so you could choose to stick this straight on and not put the foam on, and you could put foam on your bottle so you could pop your bottle up, depending on how you're going to be sending this, or if you're just going to be handing it to somebody. I'm going to add just some Tombow to the back of my perfume bottle. Pop that in the middle. Actually, before I stick the top down to pop my hello on, I want to actually tie this around the lid. So I took that back off. So if you're wanting to tie your little tag onto the perfume bottle, I've just stuck it, wrapped it round and stuck it on with a piece of double-sided tape, and I've still got my glue on the back there. And I'm going to put this back down. Second time lucky. I'm going to take the backing off of my foam, and then I'm going to position this in the middle of my card. And then I've got the little foam mount on the back of my little tag. I'm just going to finish off with some of these little gold, I think these are gold metallic, I don't know what they're called actually. I'll try and find out. I'm just going to dot a few in the background. And here is the finished card. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget you could change your colour scheme. It'll make the card look much different with different colours. I went for a subtle card this time, but you can make it nice and bright. Please give me a thumbs up or leave some comments, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.